Well, thank you for joining us on this Wednesday of the Word of Encouragement. And today I'd like to go to the Gospels, the Gospel of Mark in particular. I'd like to go to chapter 12. Here we have the Lord in the full thrust of his ministry and a number of very interesting occasions and incidents in his life. But I'd like to go to verse 41 there at the end of the chapter. And Jesus sat over against the treasury and beheld how the people cast money into the treasury, and many that were rich cast in much. And there came a certain poor widow, and she threw in 2 mites, which make a farthing. And he called unto him his disciples, and he said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that the poor widow has cast more in than all they which have cast into the treasury. For all they did was cast out of their abundance, but she of her want did cast in all that she had, even all her living. Now, you could spend some time talking here about sacrificial giving, and this certainly is a great illustration of someone who so trusted the Lord that when God prompted her heart, she gave all that she had and was trusting the Lord. And that's a wonderful application. But what I want us to note here is that the Lord Jesus saw what was happening. He took notice of this poor widow, and he gave great commendation to her, showing that he understood the fullness of what she was doing and had as God appreciation for someone that no one else would take notice of. A poor widow at that time was on the low rung of the totem pole, so to speak. If she didn't have family that were strengthening her, she was in a very, very difficult position. It sounds like this woman was indeed in that position. But the Lord Jesus took note of her. And I want to encourage you here today about the fact that every one of us, God knows. He knows our hearts. He knows our motives. He understands what we do. You know, a lot of people do things that nobody ever sees. But he sees that. He knows. He knows you in particular. He knows us uniquely. If you are a believer, he has a very specific relationship with you. And he is very concerned about everything that happens in your life. Nothing goes beyond his notice. We see this incident here because he was in his humanity, but he was clearly focused on this widow because as God, he was concerned about her. And I want to encourage you with this thought that as Satan comes along and says, what you do is insignificant. You can't do much for the work of the Lord. You don't have much. You don't have many talents. Your life really isn't that important. And you then start looking at other people, what they can do, and the abilities that they have, and you begin to feel very discouraged. Well, that's definitely of the devil. The Lord Jesus knows your heart, and if you will obey him and trust him and allow him to work through you in ministry, a lot of the little things you do to serve the Lord, he notices every one. In fact, he talks about in other passages, somebody that gives a drink of cold water to a stranger is like giving it to him. Someone that does those kinds of insignificant things are very important to the Lord. And so don't let Satan try to discourage you with this feeling of inferiority and insecurity. We all can get there if we don't watch out, because we are finite and we do have limitations. But as children of God, we are very important to the Lord. So don't let Satan discourage you today. Be encouraged in that God sees every little thing. And when your heart is set on loving him and serving him, he knows, he responds, he is touched, he cares, and he will answer your prayer, and he will work in your life if you will trust him and realize that he truly does love you.